The Honda Jazz, notorious for being a very practical and very reliable small hatchback, but its latest upgrade might just make it one of the best compact cars on the market, because this is the 2023 Honda Jazz. Yes, the new Honda Jazz in here. In 2023, Honda have decided to upgrade the look and the technology inside the very much loved Honda Jazz. In this video, we're going to be talking about the new design, what's under the bonnet and the tech, and also how it performs out on the road. But if you want to see more content from the latest cars on the market, then subscribe to the Holcroft YouTube channel. And to find your next car, then head to the Holcroft website. So then let's dive straight into the 2023 Honda Jazz, a self-charging hybrid with a very impressive technology under that bonnet, but we'll get onto that later in the video. Let's first talk about the new look of the Honda Jazz, and personally I think these two features, which is only realistically the two design features that have changed to the new model, I think this new front grille and front bumper really makes the car stand out. The previous generation Honda Jazz, yes, it did a job. However, it was very classic Honda Jazz. I think that this front grille and this front bumper give it that sporty edge, make design almost pop. I also like how big these LED headlights are, which come with high beam assist. Come to the side, and like I said, nothing really much has changed. There's not really been any revolutionary design in the side of this car, but I think the whole shape, you know, this line that goes across, this little dents down here, just make it quite a good looking car. If you look at it side on, it does look like a sporty hatchback, almost like a little hot hatch going on. The new Honda Jazz also comes with 16-inch alloy wheels, which I think would be nicer if it was a bit more sort of metal. It feels a little bit plastic going on, but look at it from afar and you know what, it looks decent. Privacy glass at the back, you know, just makes it overall good looking car. And I think the fact that it comes with this black paint, that added with that, like I said, just makes it look a bit sporty, bit of a hot hatch, and you know what, overall good looking car. Coming to the back, and there's not really much going on. Realistically, there's not really much been changed between the previous Honda Jazz to this one. I do like how big the rear window is, and also that privacy glass, which also means that parking is going to be an absolute doddle, but you do get a reversing camera, so you don't really need to look out your wing mirror. Look out the reversing camera, use that technology. Now if we come onto the boot capacity, this is where the Jazz really sort of shows its size. You know, in the front and the back you seem to have a lot of space, but in here you have 304 litres of boot capacity, and as you can see, it sort of stops here, is more in height, but you know what, there's a decent amount of space to fit all your stuff. You know, if you're going to work, if you're going on a long road trip, then it might not be ideal. However, if there is two of you, then just fold the rear seats down and you then get 1,200 litres of space. So although the boot space isn't necessarily massive, 304, not necessarily ideal if you want to house a lot of stuff, but it's practical. It can do your every day-to-day drive, and ultimately that lack of space in the boot means that you do get more space in the front and the passenger seats. So not ideal, but however, it's not horrendous. And the reason why that sort of short boot capacity isn't necessarily a big issue for me about this car is because how much space you get in the back. You get decent amount of legroom, decent amount of headroom, and feel like if you are any height, then you know what, you'll fit comfortably in this car. But also another added feature what you get in quite a lot of Honda vehicles is the addition of Honda Magic seats. Look, the magic happened. Look at that. You get so much storage under here, and the fact you can strap this down means that you can store so much in the back space. So if you do want to add a bit more space to your Honda Jazz, then just lift the Magic seats up and you can house so much more storage in here. So like I said, boot space, 304 litres. Not the best in the world, but you get so much leg room. Would you rather have more space in the boot and your rear passengers be cramped, or vice versa? Either way, I think it's a good design, and despite how small the car looks in the exterior, it's pretty roomy on the inside. You feel like you could do a long car journey on this. So then, three small things about the new Honda Jazz that I really like. First off is the style of this front bumper. Usually I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to plastic body moulding on cars, but I think the way this is laid out, the way it extends that front bumper, gives it that really sporty edge, makes that new Honda Jazz stand out from the previous model. The second thing that I really like about the Honda Jazz is the Magic seats. I mean, if you want to hide something, whether it be sweets from the kids, whether it be a present from the missus, put it under the seat and they'll be none the wiser. That aside, I do just think it's a very innovative design and allows for so much space, you know, adds to that somewhat small boot capacity, just means you can store so much more. The third thing I really like is the reversing camera. The fact that it feels that infotainment screen is interchangeable for what angle you want, and you can also add on the bit of showing where your sensors, you know, which bit you're closer to, which makes it a really practical system. But before we take this car out on the road, just want to talk about what is under the bonnet, because I think what's under here is what sets the Honda Jazz apart from its competitors. So what you have here is a 1.5 litre petrol engine, which is a part of a self-charging hybrid system. Now this system can actually travel up to 550 miles on a full tank. But if we do actually look inside the car, then you'll see that this car can quite easily travel up to 600 miles with the addition of that eco mode feature, and also the fact that this car can start up in EV mode and has regenerative braking. You get so much out of that petrol engine. You don't need to fill up very much in the new Honda Jazz. It is so economical and efficient. This car can also average a combined miles per gallon of just over the 61 mark. It can produce a 0 to 60 time in 9.6 seconds, which doesn't necessarily seem faster on paper. But when driving, you get this sense of electrified driving. It somewhat does feel like an EV. It's pretty quick off the line, it's smooth, and overall it does feel much quicker and much more powerful than what's recorded on paper. For example, it's got a 0 to 60 time of 9.6 seconds, but if we just slow down on this road and then we put the foot to the floor, you see just how responsive it actually is. I mean, as you can see, we've got to 30 miles an hour like that. Yes, a Honda Jazz, you're not going to be expecting a really fun, vigorating drive. If you are, then I think you need to read up on cars. But the Honda Jazz, the new Honda Jazz with that full hybrid system in, is a pretty fun car to drive. It's quite nippy, it's quite smooth around corners, but ultimately it's so reliable and so relaxing. You know, when you're just doing drive around towns, it's just so economical and so reliable. The fact you have that massive windscreen, which just feels so much bigger than most cars out on the market. With that, you've also got these small sections of the window to your right and your left. You feel like you can see so much more. And also it makes the car feel so much bigger than what it actually is. There's so much about the Honda Jazz that has just been thought out to just make a driving experience so easy and safe. For example, these cup holders right next to your steering wheel. You don't need to be reaching down, looking down, trying to find it down here. You can just reach out. It's in your, you know, your point of view. You can just reach out and grab it. Just little features like that, which just makes this car somewhat stand out from the crowd. That sense of electrified driving is really emphasised when you come to a stop, you know, in traffic or at a junction. This car is completely silent. I can see on the drive display it has that EV icon, which means that the car is technically driving in EV mode. So, you know, I mentioned before about having that instant response, all right, 9.6 seconds isn't an amazing 0 to 60 time, but feels so much quicker just because that start off the line is in all EV mode, which means you get so much more torque and is so more responsive. I think this car, although it is small, so if you were wanting a car for long road trips, if there was more than two of you, it might be struggle for space. However, the fact that this car does feel a lot spacious on the inside and what it does on the outside, it's a bit, you know, bit of a TARDIS, this car. However, the fact that it has, you know, them features like adaptive cruise control, has lane keep assist, and also that excellent miles per gallon. I mean, on paper, it actually recorded that this car could do upwards of 550 miles. But currently I'm seeing that I've got 600 miles in the tank. So it can actually do even more than what's recorded. It's a very reliable, very safe, and very efficient car. A comfy and safe drive, which is certainly helped by the interior of this car, because I think what Honda have done with the new Honda Jazz is they've really utilised the space. You know, Jazz isn't a big car, it's a small hatchback. So they've had to be clever about how they've used the space to make it spacious and to also make it a comfy drive, and they have done that. Because you've got storage here, you've got another compartment here, phone slot here, little cup holder, storage, more storage in the centre armrest, you get the gist. There's a lot of space and storage inside the new Honda Jazz. Comes to the drive display, and my only slight quarry is I feel it could be a bit bigger. You know, it could be stretched out to here, maybe squared off a bit. Saying that, it does display all your driving needs that you need to. Shows your speed. You can also add on, you know, your navigation, your radio station needed, all your car information on your drive. Comes to the infotainment system, and it's a very good system. It's so responsive, has all that you need to, has the built-in navigation, smartphone connectivity, which is easily connected by the two USB-Cs down here. Now, coming back to the whole interior of this car and It is pretty spacious. You have lots of leg room for both your drivers and your passenger. Everything's thought out. It's very comfy to just sit here and cruise, which is helped by adaptive cruise control, which I mentioned before. Also some nice added features like heated steering wheel, heated seats, just make it overall comfy drive. One thing I do want to point out is you have them old school dials climate controls. How frustrating is it when you get in a car and you're on a long drive thinking, God, I'm getting a bit sweaty in here. God, the sun's beaming through the massive windscreen. And then you have to faff about here, trying to find the fan speed, trying to find the temperature. How easy it's to go bang, bang, and you're sorted. Overall, it's spacious, has lots of storage. The infotainment system is very accessible, and also for the fact that your drive display, although it is small, does display all that you need to. Overall, it's a good car. So then there you have it, the 2023 Honda Jazz, a car which seems to pack so much in to a small space. You know, the front and rear seats have a lot of storage and capacity, which means for both the driver or the passengers, you're going to get a comfy drive. We've also added features of heated steering wheel, heated seats. Overall, it's a nice car to be in. Come to that hybrid technology, the fact that you can do over 550 miles on a full tank is absolutely phenomenal, and with that really good efficiency means them lowing costs are so much lower, which gives it that sense of being an EV with the help of that instant torque. For the fact this car can start up in full EV modes, this car seems to have it all. And if you are interested in test driving or find out more about the new Honda Jazz, then contact your nearest Holcroft Honda dealership.